Pokemon Legends ZA has shown some of the heights of the Pokemon franchise with its great characters and great story. The Mega Dimension DLC for this game was released around 2 months after the game came out, and I have to say, as one of the biggest Pokemon fans, this DLC was not the best. It had some big issues, but also it had some nice character moments and story moments that recent Pokemon games have been doing. The story. The story of this DLC takes place after the ending of Pokemon Legends ZA, which I thought was a great choice because it seemed kind of ambiguous where the DLC in Pokemon Sword and Shield and the first part of the Scarlet and Violet DLC took place. I think after the ending of the respective games makes the most sense, but the player can access them before beating the game. I like that the Legends ZA DLC is after the main story because the events of the game are relevant to the DLC. If the main game was part 1, this could be part 2. In this story, a girl named Ansha arrives at Hotel Z with the Pokemon Hoopa requesting help from Team MZ. This leads to the gang going into portals via help from Hoopa, which leads them into an area called Hyperspace Lumiose, which has returning Pokemon, new Mega Evolutions, new missions, and new trainer battles within it. I took a look at the trailer while writing this review, and the trailer makes it seem like it's this grand adventure, and I don't blame marketing or anything. That is their job. I want to clarify that I am not calling the marketing decisions deceptive. It's just that Hyperspace Lumiose seemed cooler in the trailers than it was. There's not really much I can say on the story without spoilers, but there's definitely some cool moments with the characters. Overall, the DLC story was just okay. The main story is much better. The characters. There's not many new characters in this DLC. Ansha and Karina are the only new characters. Ansha is a young kid who works with Hoopa to make donuts, and the donuts are used to open up dimensions to Hyperspace Lumiose. The writing for Ansha was nice, and I liked learning more about her life. Karina was also a welcomed addition since she's from Pokemon X and Y. It was cool to see how this character had developed over time. I like the idea of her having a bunch of Mega Stones. While I like these two characters, I personally didn't feel like they fit in super well with the main cast. I like the main cast together. On the random chance that someone from Game Freak is watching this, I liked Ansha and Karina, and of course, I like having new or returning characters in the DLC. I do wish more new characters were added though. I also wish more was done with Naveen and Lita. It felt like Karina kind of took their place in this DLC. Don't get me wrong, Naveen and Lita are around and involved, but Karina is stronger and she is more involved in the story than them. But I also felt like it was cool to get a new crew going. I think I would have liked to see more of the side characters working with the main characters in this DLC. The side cast of Legends ZA is Pokemon's best, and like with Naveen and Lita, they're around, but I just wanted more of them. The Pokemon. I personally don't get too deep into which Pokemon are returning in Pokemon games. It was cool that some Pokemon were back, and it was cool to see more Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet in this game. There are new Mega Evolutions, and hopefully you've seen the trailers for the DLC before watching this review because there are now Z Mega Evolutions. It was surprising to see some Pokemon getting more evolutions now with the Z variant. If you saw my Pokemon Legends ZA review, you'll know that I was not the biggest fan of the new Mega Evolutions. With the Mega Dimension DLC, this issue is non-existent as the designs for the new Mega Evolutions are great and creative. They changed the bodies of the Pokemon more than the base game Mega Evolutions, and it was cool to see which one I would be battling next. The gameplay. I like to think of the gameplay for the DLC as a variation of the gameplay from the base game. In the base game, you did the ZA Royale to advance the story, which was segmented by the tournament. In the Mega Dimension DLC, you are using berries to make donuts with the help of Ansha and Hoopa. Those scenes really reminded me of Pokemon Cafe Mix, and I think that was on purpose. The donuts are given to Hoopa, who eats them and opens a portal to Hyperspace Lumiose. This basically functions as the ZA Royale. You can catch Pokemon that are returning and base game Pokemon, battle strong trainers, and battle new Mega Evolutions. The portals with catching and battling come with small goals to help you earn more points. You have to earn a certain amount of points to progress in the DLC. I have to say that I just didn't like this, if I'm being honest. There is a lot to cover here with the gameplay. The trainers and Pokemon are stronger than usual in the dimensions, and the donuts that you feed Hoopa influence how high your level would be to match the Pokemon that you're fighting. But the donuts also determine how long you will be in the dimensions. Basically, all of the DLC is on a timer, and it's just unfortunate. If you don't have the proper berries, you earn them randomly by playing in the dimensions. You just do this over and over since you can't pick what berries you want. Later on in the DLC, you need specific ingredients to make certain donuts. All of this is to say that the DLC is basically very repetitive. The points take a long time to accumulate, the timer makes exploring the dimensions harder than it needs to be at times, and this issue is only really fixed as you progress in the DLC. Basically, if you don't finish your goals fast, you're out of luck. The berries were pretty annoying to collect because I played the game over and over until I got the ones that I needed. Hyperspace Lumiose is basically small pockets of the city that you explore, and it's just not interesting. I think that it should have been a completely new area. I don't think I'm stressing how many times you will be going into Hyperspace Lumiose. It just got old fast. Previous Pokemon DLC had new locations, and this should not have been any different. You also can't level up in Hyperspace Lumiose for some reason, which I found disappointing as I had set aside new Pokemon to try since my team was nearing level 100 by the end of the main game. The Rogue Mega Evolution battles this time around can actually be pretty difficult. I'm sure that's great for people who like a challenge, but if I lose once or twice in some games, I'm just going to use whatever they have to help me out. As with the main game, players can keep damage dealt to Rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon, and I did that for multiple battles. Some of these battles are hard, and 1 or 2 are very hard. I'm not sure if this would make the game too easy, but you can Eevee train if you want to, and that could help you out. I like that the Monster Hunter style battles were not done for every single new Mega Evolution. I just wanted to do a quick battle and catch them, so that was nice that that was there as well. Originally loving the missions in the main game, I fully respect adding more, but I was also tired of these. The missions are still good, they still feel like episodes of the anime, but some of them just have requirements that are not fun and are a grind. Multiple missions require large amounts of Mega Shards, the limit that you can hold is 999, and the game does not notify you when you have hit the max. It was cool grinding for those during normal gameplay, but having to consciously think about that was not fun, and the required amounts being so large just seemed pointless. At a point I would say just let me buy them. Some other missions also required specific Pokemon to be high level. Those missions were in the base game and were also annoying since I had to use a bunch of experience candies. I also felt like the characters from the missions should have had distinct character designs since some of them show up more than once and have names. After beating the DLC, you can catch some legendary Pokemon, and the system for this was bad. You have to do previous gameplay, and this is just for a chance to find a legendary Pokemon. It's not guaranteed, and I can't see why they design it like this. I only did this around 5 or 6 times. I only collected 1 legendary Pokemon, and I did not want to go back. The positives. This DLC still captures the wholesomeness and good writing of the main game. If you like the characters from the main story, you'll like them here. You'll likely enjoy Ansha and Karina as well. The game does some follow-ups with some of the side characters and conclusions for others. I won't spoil it, but one of the missions wrapped up the game with a bow. It feels complete, and while I can still see these characters revisited for a third Kalos game, it also feels pretty conclusive. The DLC can be difficult, and I think that's great for those who are looking for a challenge. I am not one of those people. The new Mega Evolutions are a joy to discover, and I love the idea of Mega Evolution Z. I think it shows that there is more Mega Evolution content to come in the franchise. They also added a lot of new Mega Evolutions in the DLC too, which was nice. I liked how old Pokemon were used in new context for the DLC. I feel like that was something that the Mystery Dungeon games did a lot. One of the missions introduced in the DLC was a really sweet moment, and I just felt like, yeah, these characters are my friends for sure. That was a great moment. The criticisms. This is the longest Pokemon DLC by far. I beat the main game in 64 hours. This DLC is quite long, and I was surprised that I had reached 100 hours in a Pokemon game with an overwhelmingly majority of single player content. After reaching 100 hours, I said, wait, there's more? Come on. I reached the end of the DLC, including all of the new missions and looking for some Pokemon at around 115 hours. I factor in the missions into the story, by the way. There is far too much grinding in the DLC, and I think that is what made my time go up by so much. Hyperspace Lumiose isn't fun to explore. I went into it a lot, and I think that a new location, maybe even just a smaller city, would have helped with switching the game up more. It felt like the DLC wanted you to have Pokemon of any type ready to battle, and that's not horrible or anything, but where was part of the DLC to train them or level them up? It felt like something I just needed to do on my own. I don't want to rant about the gameplay of the DLC any further, so I will just say that the cycle of the DLC was not good. It was basically get a story mission, make donuts, go into Hyperspace Lumiose, earn points, battle a rogue mega evolution, and repeat. There was no reason to have the conversations before going into Hyperspace Lumiose, and this is coming from someone who likes story in video games. It also felt like the characters were not super helpful during the rogue mega evolution battles. I think the map should have been expanded to help with missions that require being on rooftops or are in hidden areas. I wish there was just an option to teleport to the rooftops. The conclusion. Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension is DLC from the Pokemon Company / Game Freak that I would not recommend, sadly. Its repetition and lack of new locations brings it down. While the character writing is still good and the story is alright, it's just not enough to save the DLC from its gameplay. As a huge Pokemon fan, that's just hurtful to have to say. While collecting points was fine in the base game, I didn't want to do it anymore, especially with a timer now. If the timer was so important, why not reward players for finishing hyperspace missions fast? This might not be the best idea, but I'm going to say it anyway. I did not like that you could max your points out and had to do story content before collecting more. I would have preferred to collect all the points at once and breeze through the story content. Continuing to have to run around the city got boring, and I wish the bike, the skates, or ride Pokemon returned. I wanted to use a Pokemon to get to the rooftops of buildings easier. The city was good in the main game, but I had already had over 60 hours of that. If they wanted players to walk around for the base game and maybe added a ride Pokemon after beating the game, I would have been fine with that so I could fly around the city. Hyperspace Lumiose is a confusing setting, and I can't really discuss this without spoilers, but I just didn't know what was going on in some of those dimensions. The game did not really make it clear. Hyperspace Lumiose wasn't the best, but it was a good way to connect the characters that hadn't interacted or just learning more about them. Going beyond level 100 is a cool idea, but I think it could have been done in a better way. Why not just let Pokemon level up beyond level 100, but in competitive gameplay, their levels are brought back down? Having to run back to Hotel Z to make donuts was annoying, and I think they knew that since you can skip the donut making scenes. Why not just let us buy donuts from Ansha, or have her follow us around so we can easily make donuts at any time? The DLC seems confused on what level it wants you to be. Some of the DLC missions need you to be at around level 80. but the story for the DLC needs you to be at least level 100. A lot of this DLC is catching Pokemon, and your PC boxes will be filled up by the end of it. After reaching 100 hours in the game from playing the DLC, I was complaining that there appeared to be more content to play, and that's not a good sign. The only way I could recommend this DLC is if you're a big Pokemon fan and you have nothing else to play. I think you could buy it, but that's not really a hard endorsement. I will say there's a lot of content here for your money if that matters to you. If you're so on Pokemon these days, I don't think you need to buy this DLC. Pokemon Legends ZA starts off as a fun adventure and ends as a fun adventure, but the Mega Dimension DLC is more of a bumpy road held up by the characters and new Mega Evolution designs. What did you think about Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension? Have you played it? Did my review inspire you to buy it or not? Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like my content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. The links are below. I'm Surma11. See you next time, and peace out.